A few days ago I released my monthly expenses in Thailand video, and after seeing the cost of living in the States you guys were shocked. But that's not all I was shocked about, because even though I love living in Thailand, I love sharing all the amazing deals and steals here. There are certain things that are actually expensive in Thailand, and if you do not know what they are, you could end up spending way more than you need to. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Name. I'm a 32-year-old Canadian who quit a job, bought a one-way ticket to Thailand and now makes a living online. Because I feel like a lot of people who are considering moving here or traveling here have no idea that these things actually exist. It's well known that Thailand gets pretty hot and humid, so air conditioning is a must, especially in Bangkok. The next one might be obvious, but I'm putting it on this list anyway, and that is alcohol. Alcohol is expensive here in Thailand. Working out is a huge part of my life. However, I don't prefer to work out alone, so I like to hire a trainer. Now back in the States, hiring a personal trainer for 1 hour cost around $40 to $60, but here in Thailand it's more like 800 to 1,000 baht per hour. That's around $25 to $31 per hour for 1 hour of training. It's really expensive. So now we just work out together, especially if you're buying imported stuff. Let me know down below what other videos you would like to see, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye. Now that's not to say that you can't find good quality local Thai alcohol, because you can, and it's actually really affordable. But if you're looking for like name brand popular alcohols, then you're going to be paying a lot more than you would in the States. We usually stick to the local Thai beers, which are pretty cheap. They're around 90 baht per beer, and I recently tried this Leo beer, which is quite nice. But if you do want to buy imported stuff, then I would suggest checking out a duty-free shop. If you're living in a condo or an apartment, then you will definitely need to have an air conditioner. So if you've been following for a while, the next one is going to be car insurance. If you decide to drive in Thailand, whether you have your own car or you rent a car, then you're going to want to make sure that you have insurance. Car accidents happen quite often in Thailand, and it's really important to protect yourself. Before we moved here, we actually inquired about getting a car, and we were quoted over 40,000 baht for car insurance. That's over $1,200 for car insurance. Now we decided against getting a car because it just did not make sense to pay that much money for insurance on top of having to buy the car and then having to pay for gas and maintenance. So we decided against it. However, if you are seriously considering buying a car, then check out my full guide on everything you need to know about owning a car in Thailand. Then you probably already know that I'm a big fan of vitamins and supplements. I take a bunch every single day. So if you're like me, then you're probably going to be disappointed because here in Thailand, good quality vitamins and supplements are really expensive. A lot of the vitamins that I used to take back in the States, I just cannot justify paying for them here in Thailand because they're just too expensive. For example, this multivitamin that I took back in the States cost me $10 for a bottle that had 180 tablets in it. So that meant that each tablet cost me 6 cents. But here in Thailand, the cheapest bottle I could find was 800 baht, which came out to be $31. And if you do the math, that comes out to $1 per tablet. That's $1 per tablet for a multivitamin. That is crazy. So now I found a way to get around this problem, and that is by ordering vitamins online from I. With the codes that I have linked down below, it brings the price down significantly. So now I can afford to order vitamins from the States, and it is cheaper than buying them here in Thailand. I will link all the products that I mentioned down below if you guys are interested. Now before we moved in, our landlord actually just installed 2 brand new air conditioning units in our condo, which we were super thankful for. However, we did ask him how much it cost to install them, and he told us that it was around 25 those old baht for each unit. That's around $769 for one air conditioning unit. Now that's actually pretty reasonable compared to Canada, because in Canada, they cost upwards of $1,000 just for the unit, and then you have to pay someone to install it, and that costs hundreds of dollars as well. Now that's not taking into account that Thailand uses different voltage and size of air conditioning units. So I wanted to share them with you so you can either mentally prepare yourself or just have an idea of what to expect when coming to Thailand. Today we're going to be talking about the most expensive things in Thailand. I adopted a stray cat a couple of years ago, which means she is a very senior cat, and pretty much all of her life she has been eating dry food. Now I recently switched her over to raw food, because I realized that dry food is actually terrible for cats. She also has a bunch of health issues due to being overweight. So I feel like switching her over to fresh, healthy food is super important. And in the States where I used to buy her food from, they had a wide selection of raw food and it was pretty cheap. But here in Thailand, good quality raw food is impossible to find, and the selection is extremely limited. For example, this is the only beef and chicken pate that I could find in Bangkok at Top's Market. This is 378 baht for 300 grams of cat food, which is so expensive, and that's just for one meal. If you do the math, that's $39. That's almost $40 for one meal of cat food. Like, I'm sorry, but I just cannot justify paying that much money for one meal for my cat. Luckily, I found a solution for this by ordering online from Chewy, which ships directly from the States. And I am so glad that they ship here, because it would be terrible if I had to pay those prices. Alright, let's get right into it. The first thing that I was really shocked by is how expensive pet food is. Another expensive thing in Thailand is dairy. I am lactose intolerant, but my husband is not and he loves his dairy. So whenever we go to the States, we always stock up on his favorite cheeses and other dairy products. In the States, cheese can be really affordable, especially if you go to places like Costco or Walmart. However, here in Thailand, it's almost impossible to find any kind of cheese unless you go to a specialty store that caters towards foreigners. Here's some of the cheese that I could find at my local Tops market, and the prices vary between 699 to 2,200 baht per kilo. So that's anywhere between $21 to $70 per kilo of cheese. That is insane. It's honestly so expensive that I don't think it's worth it. And if you want to see the cheese selection at a more reasonable price, check out my recent grocery haul video from Food. Next up is something that I never thought about until we moved here, and that is air conditioning units. Alright, now last but not least, the most expensive thing in Thailand is actually a service, and that is a personal training service. I love going to the gym. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up.